Hello everyone, Hachadino over here, and today we're going to talk about the beta. Now we are in the beta of Midnight. There will be a lot of changes and a lot of things that have been shown. Of course, I'm inside of the beta right now. I haven't fixed my UI or anything. This is just like a test character in the new realm that went up just the other day. It's called Shadow's L game, and in this one you get to level 90 and can buy items like the new set. You can see here and cool trinkets. I mostly got this one because these were what I thought were the decent ones. But of course, in the future, it is possible that we get better ones. Now, I'm going to first talk about the big changes that came in the update that was just the other day. And as you saw, were quite a bit changes on the tree. I'm going to explain those, but first, let's check the changes by themselves. Now, they have killed the extra combo point that you get on improved ambush. It is not that it does that and also this. It is also that we get the improved ambush. It's 8% damage, not the one combo point that we got before. Also, ignore this talent scheme. It can be changed at any time. This is what I work best when I tried things before. And also, some people have been already talking. As you know, the Rogue Discord, you are welcome to come and ask anything. We have a lot of people there that are very knowledgeable and other things. And then a lot of changes for Subtlety. Let's read them. The changes for Subtlety in this update look to improve upon initial goals with further adjustments. Further adjustments, this is important because I hate when it does that. I'm not going to try and highlight anymore. They already did a lot of changes, deleting some things that were annoying and also streamlining dances and other things. And now, some previous changes to Dependent Too Far or if Assassin and Haste. This was because remember we had the symbols of death cooldown reduction thing, and then also the secret technique cooldown reduction thing that has stayed, by the way. And then the dance getting longer where you had haste before it was cooldown reduction. Now it gets longer. Now it's getting longer, but it's a little bit different. Now we are not going to benefit from things like bloodlust or PI, but from other things like gear haste. To main abilities and talents, removing generic damage bonuses from Shadow Dance, etc. etc. We were in Shadow Strike World. Now that is not true. Finishers were still doing a lot of damage, but you saw a huge uptick of Shadow Strike damage. Now there's still the big Shadow Strike damage, but also finishers do a lot of damage because of other things that have changed. Other changes did not go far enough. This was because even after a lot of pruning, we still had a lot of buttons that were not that useful. And here, as you can see here, cooldown overlap between two buttons, symbols of death and shadow dance. We kind of thought that these were coming anyway because they did change all of the things that symbols of death did to shadow dance, except one or two things that are still around, like symbolic victory and also another talent for rupture, because spoiler, rupture is also gone. So now there are one combined button press, so you have one less things, and core abilities rupture and storm, modeled mechanical identity. Now storm is going to be a very important kit on your AoE damage. It does a ton of damage as Deathstalker and decent damage as Trickster. Now adjustment to resource spacing and damage profile baked to the total changes with the intent that overall combat flow remains satisfying and damage output feels controlled and potent with the updated lineup of streamlined abilities. Shorter but more frequent cooldown pace. We hope you enjoy Subtlety and look forward to receiving community feedback. We will of course give feedback a little bit deeper into trying things. For now, I have some thoughts about many things, but let's also read this. Ability Shuriken Storm, rank 2. This is the Legion part where we had 100% increased damage while we are stealthed. This of course works in dance for now. And at level 20 you just get this. This will make it so you do a lot of damage while you are in stealth, maybe in subterfuge, haven't checked. And while in dance, this makes it of course so even as trickster you may be using Shuriken Storm, and of course, as the Stalker, if there are more than two targets, it's very likely that you use Shuriken Storm. New talent, improved secret technique. This is because secret technique is now baseline from Subtlety. Dark Bricks has been redesigned. Now our poison have 10% increased application. Now deals shadow damage, and the shadow damage is increased by 10%. This is kind of a decent talent. Like the damage increase is not trivial, but the problem is that finality is a little bit weak. So unless things change, we will not choose this one for now, of course. Shadow Focus, the talent that has been nerfed more times that some people have played this game. It is very funny because it went from 25 to 20 to 15 to 10 to 5, and now it has a different change. It kind of stole the Night Stalker damage increase, so now you have abilities to deal 10% more damage while in stealth or shadow dance. Movement Master, it's now different. Before you had a chance on your backstab and shadow strike to strike twice. Of course, that means that you would do the same damage and also get the extra combo points. Now, it has a 15% chance to create a shadow clone. This interacts with other things in our kit, like our Apex talents, and also with another talent that we will see later. And it does 50% of the normal damage as shadow. It's going to be a little bit more than 50 because remember we have some amps. So we will see that. Also because backstab and shadow strike do get reduced by armor. So that's a cool thing to think about, of course. Perforated Veins is now not only Shadow Strike, now it's also Backstab, Doomblade, Shuriken Storm. While you have Find Weakness, you're going to do 10% extra damage on these abilities. Replicating Shadows, now, as of course, as Rupture doesn't exist, it doesn't interact with Rupture in any way, but now our Shadow Clones deal extra damage. This is where I was saying also. It's not 50%, it's going to be a little bit more of our damage that we do from those Shadow Clones, also from the Apex ones, and have 5% additional chance to occur. This means that the 15% is actually 20, and in our Apex, it's also 15% that goes to 20, and Tornado is the same thing. Hurricane Storm has 15% that goes to 20 to create a Shadow Clone that repeats 50% of normal damage. And remember now, Shuriken Storm actually does quite a bit of damage. Those have crit damage and other things. So that's important. Death Perception now has 3 lines that increase our damage of finishing moves by 10%. Of course, it's multiplicative 10% with other increases. So it's not that you get like 30. It's going to be a little bit different depending on how many increases we have, but it's a very strong talent right now. And it reads as if it's on 3 different lines. As you can see here, Fight Weakness, Shadow Dance, and Shadow Blades increase the damage. So this means that Shadow Blades, apart from increasing our general damage by 10%, and also again by the extra percentage from the tier set, we're also getting this extra technique percent, making Shadow Blades quite stronger. Secret Technique, now it's learned at level 25. Very cool. And now this is general repurposing of a lot of things. And this is also quite important. Dance Macabre has been increased by 110%. It's doing right now like almost 10% of our damage. It's a very good talent. Before, it also had almost that power in the talent itself from the damage increases. And then other things about this is Shadow Dance has been changed to 6 seconds, but now it has 20 seconds cooldown. They may change some of the things because it's actually quite spammy right now. Apart from one time that you actually need to not spend the dance charge to have 2 in blades, you kind of use Shadow Dance, and then just as you are finishing it, you almost have the next one, and then we maybe pull for Shadow Techniques stacks because remember we don't have Rupture anymore, and Slice and Dice just gets renewed all the time. And also a funny thing is that we are kind of swimming in energies thanks to Master of Shadows, Relentless Strikes, our Apex procs, and other things that makes it so we actually don't really suffer that much in dance, and we are not that long outside of dance anyway, so we will see how it goes. Planet Execution and Warning Sign is now on Shoutdowns. Remember, it was on Symbols of Death. The power itself from the talents has not changed. One is attack speed and the other one is crit damage. Of course, attack speed right now seems that it's the better power of it, but it could change at any time. Now, one annoying thing, of course, is that there are some talents that are still in the old things, but they will change them eventually to have another power, like Symbolic Victory doesn't work, of course, because it's Symbols of Death. They are going to likely change this for Shadow Dance, like other things. And then, of course, Corrupt the Blood Rupture doesn't work anymore. Maybe they are going to change it to Secret Technique, would be cool. And other things we may see. Now, Deepening Shadows, this is the big change that they had. Before, it was all haste things that you could get would increase the duration of your Shadowlands. Now it's only from haste. But we have checked, and actually unused trinkets and procs do increase the duration. And one thing that also increases the duration, even though it shouldn't, is Aracity. Other things that are in other specs and classes work with only everything, but ours is a little bit special. I think Aharacity is just hard coded to help you a little bit have that longer duration, and Shadowcraft got nerfed a little bit. Before it was giving a lot more shadow techniques. I explained it before that it was like getting one, not getting one, and then getting one, etc. etc. It's a little bit complicated how it works, but just know that it's just almost half as weaker than before. That means that, of course, thanks to one bug, we are not proccing our Apex that much, but that will get fixed eventually. I will talk about the bug a little bit later. Now, Rotten is activated with Shadow Dance. It's not about talent. Our two next attacks that generate combo points will deal extra damage. This means that we can buff, for example, Shuriken Storm and Shadow Strike, or two Shadow Strikes. Very likely that we would buff Shuriken Storm and other Shadow Strikes. So maybe we just put 1 point in Finality and then go for the Rotten, making it quite strong. Because Finality being critical damage bonus and us not having that much critical strike chance yet, going to make this a little bit weaker. And of course, Dark Shadow now it's the general one, as you can see, all damage ability, and Shadow Strike and Shuriken Storm by an additional 10%. So these are all of the changes kind of, and then as you can see, some talents have just died, and we still have one under construction talent over here. This was where kind of inevitability and swift death and other things were there. So now we'll have something under construction because it's after Weapon Master and Plant Execution. Maybe it's something that has to do with dance and builders, but who knows? We here have something that helps shadow clones. Maybe we get another shadow clone thing over here. Of course, you do want to take Tornado if you're doing AoE. And Silent Storm is just strong in itself because we may be using Storm in single target. Now, another change that is not here anywhere, maybe it's over here now after some changes that they have done, but I haven't refreshed the page. Secret Technique cooldown is still hasted. It's not set anywhere, but you can see here the green thingy. Shadow Dance, of course, has 2 and also has the extra duration. As you can see, mine it's 10.7. You can even see the extra duration that you get on the Deepening Shadows. Baseline, you get this 1.71. And if you equip an item that has haste, let's see here, it's not going to go up hugely, but 0.3 extra. Now, one thing that is a little bit funny is that you do want to get Secret Technique to 20 seconds cooldown, so you can use Dance and Secret Technique every time it's up. 21 or something like that, it's kind of decent, but maybe just get some rings or something to make it go over there. And then let's talk about Dance Snapshotting. As you might expect, this extra duration, it's saved just when you use dance. So that means that if we have, for example, this trinket over here, I'm going to talk a little bit, or any of these two trinkets also that give haste when you use them, or it's a proc that gives haste sometimes, you could, for example, let's say, bait this trinket to work, and then you would use dance and get that extra duration. This is, of course, kind of a trinket that we want to use because our dance is going to be around 12 to 13 seconds. This means that we will get 2 uses of this extra duration. And you are going to maybe macro them or something like that, and they would work like it. There's also this trinket, for example, that gives us some haste and then critical strike. But as you might expect, this one is kind of the best because it synergizes also with Shadow Blades being the same cooldown. Now also Shadow Blades has been, let's say, I changed a little bit. Now it doesn't fail your combo points, it just makes builders do double. What does this mean? This means that Backstab and Shadow Strike will get their value doubled, and Shuriken Storm, same thing. Like if you hit 2 targets with Shuriken Storm and have Blades active, you're going to get a baseline of 4 combo points. Same thing with Shadow Strike, and Backstab is going to be 1. Now, what did I say about the bug? The bug is that right now, even if you have Shadow Blades, and you would cap, for example, if you have 4 combo points and you use Strike, you should be capping combo points and not using any of your Shadow Technique stacks. But right now, it does happen that you use those Shadow Technique stacks instead of just capping while you are in Blades. And now, let me show you an example of this. For example, if we use this trinket itself, we have, for example, 21 seconds our secret technique and 10.8 duration on our shadow dance. Now we use the trinket, and as you can see here, we have 13 seconds on shadow dance and 19 seconds on secret technique. This means that we can use shadow dance once, and then if we use it just as we use the trinket, we will be able to use another shadow dance that lasts those extra seconds. Now, one very important thing to think about is that I also had the first dance, so that gave me 3 extra seconds. So the baseline, as you would see normally, it would be 7.2, and it will go to 11 or 10 seconds. This makes unused haste trinket very strong unless they change this. These are the first thoughts about the Subletly things. Now, if you have played it a little bit, you might actually have some complaints, and that is it's quite bland. Like you just go into dance and then end dance and possibly not do anything and then go into dance again. There is nothing like cool that can happen or something like that. You do get some shadow clones and apex procs and things, but that doesn't change gameplay that much. You still shadow strike, eviscerate, maybe eviscerate sometimes twice. Use secret technique with dance on cooldown. If there is more than one mob, you use Shuriken Storm. If you have Silent Storm, it does hit harder. Maybe you get a clone that makes it hit twice if you have a Tornado. And that gives you extra combo points, so you can use another finisher. But now our finishers are only Eviscerate, Secret Technique, and Black Powder. We have those 3. Then we have our builders that are 1 or 2. And is it bad? Not really. A lot of people may like this gameplay better than the old one that we have in the War Within, where we had some cooldown, what we stacked, and with damage we could save things, etc. etc. Now you can save Shadow Dance for a little bit later, but the problem is if you are saving Shadow Dances, Secret Technique does have a static cooldown and no charges, so you are losing some damage if you do that. Now, my first thought before trying anything, and from what I heard, is it can be a bit bland for people that like some spice on their spec with procs and everything, but for another player that just comes into the spec without any knowledge, now it's way more easy to play, and the buttons do damage, and when you are in dance, you are going to be doing big damage. While you're outside, you don't even need to build for the next one, because you get a lot of energy and combo points inside of the dance. So it might be a min-maxing of trying to hold to get more secret technique thingies. Shadow Technique, sorry, and we will see how people enjoy it. I myself haven't tried it a lot yet because I didn't have alpha, and then for beta I was doing other things these days. But on testings and things, we may get the feedback from players that actually tried it. Sadly, as you might know, of course, I'm EU, so I have a huge deal of lag. It's going to be very annoying for me. But other people that are in NA or that can attest to the cool changes and things can tell us more. Well, quite a long video, but have a nice day, and I'll see you on the next video.